Hello and welcome to Inside the Indianapolis Zoo. I'm 13 weather meteorologist Matt Standridge and we have a great show for you today. This month, it's all about the flamingos. I'll take you to a flamingo mingle where you get to get up close with these fan favorites, and we'll look at how a partnership between the zoo and the Indianapolis Indians is helping keep the flamingos happy and healthy. But first, we're headed up to Muncie to show you how a grant from the zoo is helping freshwater mussels. At the Indianapolis Zoo, conservation is a core principle. There are projects that they help support all around the world, but there are projects that are ongoing right here in Indiana, and this is a story about mussels. Laura Boley with the Muncie Bureau of Water Quality. We're hanging out one of the nicest places here in Indiana by the White River. You work on projects for mussels and help to keep our waterways clean.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me what a mussel is?
Okay, we work with freshwater mussels. Freshwater mussels are living organisms or animals that go from the size of a fingernail all the way up to 10 to 12 inches. They have two hinges. A lot of people also know them as clams.
So do they have a kind of a shell, or what's
Yes,
that like?
yes, they have two shells that close and the living organism is inside of those shells.
Why are we talking about mussels? Why are they important?
Mussels are crucially important for our water quality. They are the natural filters of our waterways. Many times they're called the livers of the rivers or ecosystem engineers, because in filtering all of those things out, they filter out excess nutrients, they filter out the food that they eat, but they also filter out pathogens, bacteria, all of those things, and the sediment that washes into our waterways, put it to the bottom of the stream and allow that to then be eaten by our macroinvertebrates and put up through our food chain and keep it right here instead of sending it downstream.
So how are the populations doing? Are you having success?
Yes, absolutely. We are early on in the process, and we have had lots of success. We have put out 162 freshwater mussels of 2 different species in our waterways, and are about to put out about 25 more individuals.
That's fantastic. And I know the Indianapolis Zoo loves working with you guys. They help fund your facility, the new facility that's 2 years old now?
Yeah, officially.
Okay, how's that facility been? How has that been able to enhance your efforts?
Oh my gosh, having a facility right there beside the White River, being able to have the space to do what we need to do and to expand our operation has been absolutely huge.
I hear there's some new equipment coming around that the zoo is helping fund too. Can you tell me about it?
Yes, we are going to get a couple of multi-tank systems that are recirculating, that are going to allow us to test different variables, be able to try some things before we implement them in our large system, and it's going to help us to do some host trials.
Let's start getting into the nitty-gritty a little bit. How do you guys grow or propagate the mussels? Come and walk through the process. What are you guys doing inside the facility?
All right, probably should start with the life cycle. It has an interesting life cycle. So freshwater mussels of the family Unionidae, which are the ones that we are breeding, they have a really interesting life cycle. So once the female has her young ready to release, they need to be released on fish and live a parasitic portion of their life.
Well, we hope your work gets expanded, gets even bigger, but tell me, what's the vision the next couple of years for you guys?
Absolutely, yes. So initially we worked with 3 mussel species, and by the end of the summer we will have representatives of all of those species out in our waterways. We hope to add species to that list, and we hope to add numbers to that list, and we absolutely anticipate that that will be the case. We also hope to expand our operation and be able to add to the ecosystem and get them back to where they once were.
What are some things that the public can do? We're watching this episode, we're interested in all your work. What are things that we can do to help?
Absolutely. So you can help with stormwater. Stormwater is a huge part of the pollution issue at this point. In the past, it was certain things that you could point your finger at. It was things like industrial, pollution and wastewater pollution. A lot of that has been handled and controlled and continues to be controlled, and a lot of people put a lot of work in. However, now it's things that we can't point a finger at. It's things that when it rains, everything moves with it into the stream. So it's things like sediment, it's things like the oil you might see on a parking lot, the fertilizers that haven't absorbed into our fields and our lawns. All of that is going out into our waterways and impacting our aquatic organisms. So making sure that you don't over-fertilize, you don't fertilize when it's not necessary, that you don't have grass clippings. It sounds surprising because they're natural, but too much of that, if everyone's grass clippings are going in at once, the river can't handle that. So just watching those things, picking up your trash, making sure that there's nothing out there that can move into our waterways during a rain event, that is one of the biggest things that people can do. And educating themselves, learning about the important organisms that we're protecting.
That's really helpful. And as you know, Delaware County gets too many thunderstorms, so that's something that we have to deal with for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Indiana weather, right?
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we didn't realize how involved mussels were. Our crew and I, we've all been asking, can you go over the life cycle again? Because it's just absolutely fascinating.
Yes. I absolutely agree. I can nerd out about mussels anytime. They are an amazing organism, and a lot of people just don't even realize that they're out there.
Thank you, Laura, for the work you do.
Thank you.
Summer is finally here, and the Indianapolis Zoo always has something on the horizon, and there are two big events that I want you to know about. Number one, Animals and All That Jazz returns Thursday, June 18th. On Thursday nights throughout the summer, just head over behind me to the Bicentennial Pavilion and you'll be able to listen to a fresh lineup of Midwest musicians, and they'll be doing anything from classical jazz to blues, R&B, and pop, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And number two, next month, the Indianapolis Zoo is celebrating a very important anniversary. When you come to the zoo on July 4th, the admission cost will be $17.76. I bet you can guess why. 250 years ago, we gained independence. We signed the Declaration of Independence, and you can come out July 4th weekend and enjoy the zoo. Come see the animals on July 4th. Welcome back. I'm here with my new friends, the flamingos, and if you love them as much as I do, the zoo has a really fun way for you to mingle with this flamboyance of flamingos.
Okay, here they come out.
Every summer morning at the Indianapolis Zoo, you can meet the flamingos as they get some breakfast. Kids sit down waiting in anticipation. For most of these visitors, this is the closest they've ever been to a flamingo.
They might come up and investigate you and kind of feel with their beak. We ask that you do not touch the flamingos, but the flamingos might touch you. And if for some reason you want the flamingo to, give you some space, you can either raise your hand and an encounters keeper will come around and help you out. Okay, we have some flamingos that decided to come out for the flamingo mingle. And looking at our flamingos, we have two different species of flamingos. A lot of the Caribbean flamingos and one Chilean flamingo with us. So look around and see if you notice any one flamingo that looks a little bit different from the rest. And if you notice that one flamingo that looks a little different, go ahead and point them out. I see a couple people pointing. Yeah, so if we look over here to the, my back right, kind of other people's left, there is one lighter pink flamingo. That is a Chilean flamingo, so they're a little bit different than the Caribbean flamingos. When you look at them, you might notice that they are a lighter pink in color.
Does anyone notice a difference between us people and the flamingos? They're pink in color, yeah. So they get their color from the food that they eat. So the food that they eat contains carotenoids.
You might notice some bowls around us, and that is just their breakfast. So it has some water and some krill in it.
Their diet makes them pink. The more krill they eat, the more pink they become. Even though they only weigh 5 to 9 pounds, they're always looking for a snack. Good thing it's breakfast time.
Does anyone here think they can fly? Yeah, they can fly. So they are able to fly. Some flamingos even migrate long distances, so they're able to fly for a pretty long time.
They are such a unique bird. The zookeeper showed us how humans and flamingos are different, but also alike.
Yeah, they do have longer necks. They have beaks, yes. So they don't have a mouth like we do. They use their beaks for a couple different things. When the flamingos come up and investigate us, they kind of feel with their beaks. So it's about like as sensitive as our palm is, so they're able to investigate and feel what's happening around them. They also use their beaks to help them eat their food. So oh, here we go. We have one stretching out. You might have saw their flight feathers being trimmed. But back to their beaks, they kind of are what's known as like filter feeding. So just like how when you cook macaroni and cheese, you gotta strain it get all the water out through a strainer. So that's kind of how their beak is working. They're sucking the water in with the food, and then they're gonna close their mouth, and the water goes out, but the food stays in. So they have what's called lamella on the sides of their beaks, and it is able to act like that strainer. So keep the food in, but push the water out. Do we notice any other differences? What was that? Their legs are skinnier? Yeah, they do have long, skinny legs. And when you're looking at their legs kind of bend backwards in comparison to ours. So when we bend our knee goes forward. But when they bend their leg goes backwards. That is actually their ankle that is in the middle of their leg, so not their knee. So they still kind of bend their leg in the same way we do. Their knees are just high up into their feathers, so we can't really see them. So it's kind of like they're walking on their tiptoes almost, because their ankle is so high up. They're just walking on their tiptoes. Okay, I think we kind of got through all the differences between us and the flamingos, but what about similarities? What makes us similar to flamingos? They drink water, yeah.
Flamingos are such social creatures. They were super curious about their visitors too.
They can live in groups anywhere from 70 to up to 10,000 flamingos. So that's a lot of flamingos. And just like how we have different levels of friendship, so we might have a best friend, we might have someone we're friendly with, or we might just have an acquaintance. The flamingos also kind of have that level of friendships. And just like how sometimes with our best friend, we kind of want to match them, you know. We might want to wear the same style clothes or the same hairstyle. Flamingos, they'll kind of take on the quirks of their friends as well. So if one friend lifts their right leg and sleeps with their right leg tucked in, the other one might start doing that. If one tucks their head in a certain way, that other flamingo might start doing that. So it just kind of depends, and they kind of take on the quirks of their friend.
Flamingos can tell each other apart, but it can be hard for us to tell. The Indianapolis Zoo keeps numbered and colored bands on their legs so you know which one you're looking at.
You might notice they have some bands on their legs, and all their bands have different numbers on them. So that just helps us tell them apart. So each number corresponds to a specific flamingo. And for the Caribbean flamingos, so those dark pink flamingos that are still all out, the ladies or the female flamingos are gonna have their band on their left leg. So we say ladies left is how we remember it. So that helps us tell a difference between our Caribbeans as well.
Ladies left, males right. Now you'll be able to tell next time you visit the zoo. See, the flamingos is always a highlight, but being up close is a must-do during the summer. The flamingos wrapped up their time with us and headed back into their habitat. But speaking of their habitat, the Indianapolis Zoo has partnered with the Indianapolis Indians, yeah, our baseball team, to find the best dirt possible for the flamingos' webbed feet. Let's find out more.
This is gonna sound kind of strange, just two guys talking about some dirt. I'm here with John Dawson, curator intern here at the Indianapolis Zoo. This is very special dirt here at the zoo. Can you tell me about it?
It is. So this is a special blend that we were recommended to use for our flamingo exhibit that kind of help give them the best possible exhibit that they could have. We had a call in December of last year with the Species Survival Program that recommended reaching out to local baseball teams to use the dirt that they use. So we had a meeting with the Indianapolis Indians and their head groundskeeper.
Just down the street.
Just down the street, couldn't be closer, our neighbors, and they recommended working with a company out of Fishers that we got this special blend. It's 60% clay, 60% sand, 60% silt. And so it doesn't look quite like other dirt. It's a little bit different color. And if you feel it, it's actually, it kind of balls up a little bit better, a little bit different than normal garden dirt.
Sure. Why is this beneficial? Why is this important?
So as you can see, it's pretty moldable.
Yeah.
So it's something that we can help change their exhibit a little bit, give them a little bit better structures. It's nice and soft on their feet. It holds water, but it doesn't get too hard. So that 60-20-20 blend is just kind of the perfect mix for them. And it's the perfect mix for them here in Indiana. We reached out to some other facilities down in Florida and they use different ratios. So this is something, again, working with a local company, working with the Indians, where we got a special recommendation for what will be best for our flock here.
How surprised were you when you were told baseball dirt for flamingos?
Yeah, and it was pretty surprising, and it's a special kind of baseball dirt. So when we met with the Indians, they showed us 4 different kinds of dirts. This is specifically the mix that they use for the infield, or the similar mix to what they use for the infield. So there's also the warning track, the pitching mound, and some other areas that they have. So even just saying baseball dirt's not just one thing.
Not specific enough.
Yeah, so.
We didn't realize there were so many different types.
No, so I didn't know there were that many faces of dirt.
For sure. So how much dirt do you guys need to get?
So this is 10 tons.
Wow.
So we worked with the company out in Fishers, Advanced Turf Solutions, and they came out, calculated how much we would need for the area, and this is 10 tons of dirt looks like.
So when the Indianapolis Indians come over, they're gonna look at the flamingo exhibit and think, wait, that dirt looks familiar.
They might try to start taking ground balls, so we have to make sure the flamingos are clear.
One thing I love about the Indianapolis Zoo is that you're always trying to improve the welfare of the animals here. How does this play a role in that for the flamingos?
Yeah, so we heard from a couple other facilities that they reached out to local baseball teams and that there were just so many options of different dirts that they use that this was a good one for their feet just because how porous it is, how moldable it is, and just its water retention in general. And so we reached out to the Indians and we looked at some options, and this is the best one that fit our needs.
Do flamingos smile?
We'll see if they smile when they get new substrate.
They've got new substrate to walk on. How exciting for them. Yeah. Thank you so much for showing the dirt and why it is actually really important that we get the right dirt for the flamingos.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. Welcome back. We just had so much fun mingling with the flamingos with other guests here at the Indianapolis Zoo, but we figured why not meet a couple close up. I've got Hannah Roth and Counters Keeper here at the zoo. Who do we have here today?
We have Squish and Squash with us. We know that by their bands on their legs. Squish is number 45 and Squash is 90.
One is on the left, one's on the right. What does that mean?
So if it's on the right leg, it's a boy, and on the left leg, it's a girl. And that's what we do specifically for our Caribbean flamingos.
Okay, but you have 2 different types?
We do. We also have Chilean flamingos, and they have red bands, but they're not banded on their legs based on their gender. It's just kind of mixed. They were banded before they came to us, so we usually have to look up to see who's a boy and who's a girl.
Big question.
Yes.
Why are the flamingos pink?
Such a great question. So it is actually because of what they eat.
Wow.
So flamingos are able to eat shrimp and process the carotenoids in the shrimp, and that turns them pink. It's like if we ate a bunch of carrots, it could turn us orange.
So when we were doing the mingling in the bowls with water, you had some shrimp in there? Okay, tell me how they eat shrimp, because this is fascinating.
Oh my gosh, they're the coolest eaters. So they're what we call filter feeders.
Okay.
So they're going to tip their heads upside down, pull the water and food inside, and then close their mouth and push the water out. That way they can keep the food in. And we can actually see it if you want to hold this up for them.
Okay, at what level?
At any level, if you just want to hold it on over for him.
Okay.
And Squash is going to go ahead and do it.
Wow. No way.
And so his beak...
Should I share a little bit? Or do they?
I can grab one for her as well. A lot of times the 2 of them will stick their beaks in the same.
Oh, at the same? Wow.
Yes. Because these 2 are partners, so they don't mind sharing.
So they've known each other a long time?
Yes, they actually are about the same age. They're in their early teens.
Wow.
So they've been together for most of their lives.
Okay, interesting part. How do they pick a mate? How do they look at another flamingo and think, that's the one for me?
So a lot of times they're going to look at their color. So a very bright pink flamingo is going to mean that this flamingo is eating well. They're getting a lot of shrimp, getting a lot of carotenoids, so they can provide for themselves and any future offspring. So that is what they're going to look for in a mate. They also, females are going to look for a taller male. You can see by looking at the two of them, the male is taller than the female. That's not always true. We have some smaller boys, but for the most part, that's how it's gonna be. So the females will look for a taller guy.
How tall can a flamingo get?
They can be about 5 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one thing we were talking about, hi buddy, is their beak and how it's not just meant for grabbing food. Tell me about their beak, it's special.
Yes. So what Squash is even showing here right now, that black part of their beak is actually as sensitive as the palm of our hand. And so when he touches stuff, he's able to feel it. And that's really helpful for when they are eating, because if he's in that muddy water, he's not really gonna be able to see things, but he can sense it with his beak and he's gonna feel, okay, there's some food here.
Got a tickle. But he's just feeling around.
Yeah, and they really like different textures. That's something we give them as enrichment for them.
So, weather-wise, gotta ask this question. If they were in charge of the 7-day forecast, what would they put on it?
They would probably like a few days of drizzle. Okay. They like to stand outside in the rain and take a bath. They're big fans of water.
Sure.
But they also really like the sunshine, so they probably like a few days of each. But definitely higher temperatures. They like it around 80, 90.
Okay, that sounds pretty nice.
Yeah.
And I love their exhibit. I mean, they've got all the features that they need. Can you kind of tell me what's unique about the exhibit? Why do you have it kind of structured? What's in it?
Yeah, well, they have that awesome pond to go in. These guys need water. And it has a nice slope to it because flamingos can be kind of clumsy. You know, they have very long legs.
Sure.
They trip so easily. And then there's good space all around, some trees for shade, but also plenty of spots for them to sun.
If they could talk to you right now, what do you think they'd be saying?
They'd be asking for more krill.
How much krill do they eat in a day?
Oh, if they could, they would eat all of the krill, their body weight.
Speaking of feeding, there are opportunities here at the Indianapolis Zoo to get close to a flamingo. Can you talk about them?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our Flamingo Mingle. Currently, it's every day at 9:45 a.m., just right here outside of the Flamingo exhibit. And then 3 times a day currently, you can come and feed a flamingo right here. It is at noon, 2 p.m., and 3:30 p.m.
Is it a cup like this? Is that how you do it?
Yep, they're gonna get a cup and they'll come in here and they'll just get to hold it on over and the flamingos will let them know when there's no more krill.
Why do you think people get excited when they see the flamingos?
I feel like flamingos are just kind of like a staple of a zoo.
Yeah.
And they're just, everyone loves to see the bright pink birds.
How long can their necks get? We're talking about how tall they are.
Yeah, so they have 19 vertebrae. And they will stretch up taller to be taller if they're trying to maybe be more dominant or show off for a female. Squash here is not trying to show off or anything. He's pretty casual right now.
But he could go, maybe.
He could definitely stretch up a little bit more.
That's really cool. So as they're standing right now, I don't really see any wings, but do they have wings?
They do have wings. They are able to fly. Flamingos are actually pretty good flyers. A lot of species will migrate pretty long distances. Caribbean flamingos generally don't, but a lot of the other species can.
Well, it was so awesome to get to meet Squish and Squash. How many flamingos do we have at the zoo?
We have 32 flamingos.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, you can come to Indianapolis Zoo and see all of those flamingos and get to mingle with them and, hey, maybe even feed them as well. Thank you, Hannah, so much for your time. We love meeting flamingos. It's always a must-go to when you come to the Indianapolis Zoo. All right, that's gonna do it for our Meet the Resident segment here on Inside the Indianapolis Zoo. We'll see you next time.